Weak growth, high borrowing, all point to the UK Chancellor George Osborne extending his austerity plans for Britain when he presents the autumn statement. And Egypt's president has fled the palace, say sources, after 10,000 protesters clashed with police. More on that in a moment. But first, clouds gather for the UK economy. A darker economic outlook means Osborne's probably going to announce more spending cuts in the years to come. He may also have to say borrowing will have to rise this year. Let's get to Adam Meyer, Senior FX Strategist, Credit Agricole CIB. Morning to you, Adam. Let me ask you first how realistic you think the possibility of the UK losing its AAA is.
I think there's a very high probability that the UK does lose it. Obviously, many other developed economies have been in the same position as the UK previous months, and they've lost their rating, so I don't see any reason why we shouldn't follow over the next 3 to 6 months.
How come sterling's doing so well if we're worried about this?
Safe haven inflows. The European economy is doing worse. Foreign investors are worried about their financial portfolios, and so safe haven inflows are coming into short-dated securities denominated in British pounds.
But the euro looks pretty perky itself. We're up, what, closing on 132 now?
Absolutely. The foreign exchange market at the moment is dominated by central bank diversification flows. Obviously, banks like the People's Bank of China, they buy dollars, they recycle some of those into euros, and then they recycle some of those again into British pounds, and that's dominating FX market volatility at the moment.
How high is euro-dollar going to go, do you think?
I think euro-dollar can go all the way to 133 before the end of the year. That, of course, is dependent upon the news that we get out of the Eurogroup meeting next Wednesday.
And how big could the fall be for the euro if and when it comes?
Oh, very significant. I think we could go down all the way to 120 during the course of 2013. And that's, of course, because the US economy has insulated itself both via its monetary policy and via its FX policy, and that is really going to benefit the US economy, whereas the Europe doesn't have the same privilege. And that is, of course, meaning that we're going to see lower growth in Europe and necessarily a weaker euro next year.
So what is your FX play, or Credit Agricole's FX play for next year?
Well, I think the best thing to do, especially in the core markets, is wait for that squeeze in euro-dollar that we should see in the next couple of weeks. The confluence of good news in Europe with the delivery of a Greek package, and of course the negative news in Europe in terms of that fiscal cliff. Sell into that squeeze and then see euro-dollar fall throughout 2013, perhaps as low as 120.
Great. Adam, appreciate it. In corporate news, the world's third biggest retailer, Tesco, just out with a trading update. Third quarter like-for-like sales fell 1.3%, and the group kept its full-year outlook unchanged. And Fresh and Easy may be going stale. The UK retailer is now launching a strategic review of its loss-making chain that may lead to the sale or the closure of that business. Top world news story on Reuters this morning, as we mentioned at the top of the show, a quieter scene in Tahrir Square this morning after police last night battled thousands of protesters outside President Mohammed Morsi's palace in Cairo, prompting the Islamist leader to leave the building for his private residence. Up to 10,000 protesters had gathered in what was dubbed last warning protests against Morsi's drive to hold a referendum on a new constitution on December 15th. Over in Asia, HSBC has sold its entire stake in China's Ping An Insurance for a big profit. Let's get some detail from Reuters' John Gordon in Hong Kong. The buyer not among the usual suspects, John.
That's right. Nobody ever expects the Thai acquisition here, Axel. This time it's CP Group, a firm linked to the country's richest man, Danan Cheravanant. Now, the chunky price tag of this, $9.3 billion, puts it at the second biggest deal in Asia this year from an Asian firm, behind Sinok's bid for next in there. It's a bit unusual. CP Group is known for its chicken and pig feed, not life insurance, but the firm does have a long history in China, and the billionaire Danan has must have some political clout in China to get a deal like this done, certainly. So the deal provides an excellent payday for HSBC. They're booking at least $8 billion in profit on it, and it boosts their Tier 1 capital ratios. The question for CP going forward is, will they be able to extract the same amount of value?
All right. And a coronation of sorts, John, for Samsung, the chairman promoting his son to vice chairman. Is that right?
Yeah, Lee Kun-hee getting his way, the 44-year-old son, J.Y. Lee, rising to the #2 rank there. The reason for his promotion, on paper at least, is his outstanding contribution to the smartphone performance of the unit. Of course, as you know, big numbers coming from there. I'm a customer myself. But it's also a stark reminder that this business in Korea, business is going on as usual with the chaebols. They're often dynastic entities that control most of the economy. Samsung, for example, by some estimates, accounts for nearly 20% of the country's GDP, Axel. And this baton passing exercise comes just ahead of a general election where the chaebol activity, this way of business, is under intense political scrutiny. So a good day for Jay here, but it may be a tough road ahead.
Very good. John, many thanks. That is it for now. I'll leave you with our pick of the day. Comes from Reuters photographer Antonija Bronic. Shows the Bulgarian referee gesturing as the Champions League match between Dynamo Zagreb and Dynamo Kiev was halted by snow. It's also snowing in London this morning, or it was when I came in. That's it. I'm Axel Threlfall. This is Reuters.